Planet Dolan.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Soup and I'm new here. Back when I was a kid, say around 12 or so, I was really antisocial. I never really went outside and didn't care to talk to other kids either. I played video games all day and wait, I still do that. Anyway, one day my parents told me to go outside. Find a new adventure, meet some new kids, and just generally get the fuck out of the house for a little while. I hop on my bike and ride aimlessly around my neighborhood until my parents are satisfied and I could just go back home. As I was riding, I saw two kids on the sidewalk playing with these cards. And I realized, oh, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! I love playing that card game as much as the next antisocial kid, so I thought it'd be fun to ride over and say hi. Are you guys playing Yu-Gi-Oh? My name's Soup, can I join? Just to keep things less personal, I'm gonna use a fake name for this kid. One of the kids looked up and said,
Oh yeah, for sure. My name's Jacob.
I honestly forgot the other kid's name, but after that encounter I never really saw him again, so... Sorry? Jacob seemed really harmless and actually kind of chill at the time, so I invited him over to play some video games at my house. We played a bunch of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, everything was going pretty well, I made a new friend, he likes all the same stuff I do, and my parents were pretty happy. After 2 weeks of hanging out at my place, Jacob finally decided to invite me over to his house. Seems fun, what could go wrong? Just hanging out at a new buddy's house playing his favorite games now. Now, Jacob lived on the other side of the neighborhood, so it was a bit of a hefty bike ride. Everything was going pretty well and his house looked really nice from the outside. We walked through the front door and this dirty, smelly dog lunges at me. I screamed so loud, I think my parents actually probably heard me from home. Jacob grabbed the dog by the collar and apologized.
Sorry, he's friendly. He's supposed to be locked in the bathroom, though. I'm not sure why he's out.
As he pulls the dog with what looked like all his goddamn strength into the bathroom and quickly locks the door behind him.
Let's go to my room.
I kinda just nervously laughed and followed him into the room, not thinking much of it. I set up our placemats for the Yu-Gi-Oh game. While I'm setting up, I lay out the decks and look up for just a moment to see Jacob pulling out something from his dresser. I figured he was just getting his deck too, so I start sifting through mine, making sure I have all the cards together. Jacob's kind of taking a long time just to get his deck out. What does he do? Oh my god! This kid is just sticking really thin sewing needles through his skin on his fingertips, one finger at a time. He's straight up looking like Edward Scissorhands at this point. I couldn't stop staring though. I couldn't look away as my face cringed into a black hole. He hadn't noticed me watching him though, so I try to keep my cool because I mean, hey, some people like to do weird shit. Who am I to judge? Then he sits in his desk chair, grabs a pocket lighter, and begins setting his fingernails on fire? Why? Why is this kid doing this? Do I need to get out of here? Am I in danger? Eventually, he noticed me watching in abject horror, then turns and smiles at me. Jesus, Jacob, he's looking at me. What do? I'm scared. Do I laugh? Do I join him? Do I just get the absolute fuck out of here?
You ever tried this before?
No? I'm sweating bullets at this point, really trying not to offend my new friend. He kept insisting that I try it and being pretty pushy about it, but I just kept telling him I'm good for what seemed like forever. We didn't even end up playing the game. I just sat on the floor of his room in the dark, watching this kid fuck up his fingers with the backdrop of his dog thrashing around in the bathroom. Okay, it's time to get the hell out of here. I suggested we go outside and just ride around on our bikes for a while. We left and pretty much never spoke of that day again. I try not to think about it too much now, but boy, that was fucking weird. But it gets worse. Time goes on and I'm still friends with Jacob and he starts hanging out at my house. A lot. Like every day almost. Eventually, he just started showing up uninvited. It's fine with me, but I also needed to let him know just to plan out our time together in the future. Usually we hang out for about 2 to 3 hours before he heads home, but he's starting to stay longer than I intended. 2 to 3 hour days turn into almost the entire night. I'm trying my best not to make this awkward in any way. I mean, I'm a socially stinted kid, so I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes here. But I gotta be honest, this shit was starting to get on my nerves. He was staying over so much that I was getting distracted from doing my homework, so my grades started failing. And I was homeschooled, so that shit's kinda hard to pick back up. So I finally had enough. I hear a knock on my door and surprise, surprise, it's Jacob. I told him I couldn't make time today because I just had way too much homework and I needed to pick my grades back up. I close the door and he straight up puts his foot between the door and insists we hang out. At this point, I'm super creeped out and persist in telling him I can't because he keeps distracting me from my school stuff and to respect my time. This kid bold-faced tells me he doesn't care about my time or my homework. Look, now I'm trying not to swing on this kid, so I said we can hang out another day, and I closed the door. Feeling relieved that I'd finally gotten rid of him, he came back and started continuously knocking on my door and hovering around my windows. My mom is really confused and asked if everything was okay. Okay, yeah, this kid's starting to piss me off. He did this over the next few days. A few days later, I just opt to ignore it because this is getting really obnoxious and spooky. Like, it's getting a little creepy. Jacob starts leering into my window, saying creepy things like,
I know you're in there.
with his whole face smushed onto the window. Jacob literally opened our garage door and just sits there in the dark, waiting for me to come out. My mom is visibly spooked at this point, so I'm just like, alright, fuck this, I'm gonna go take care of this shit. My dad coincidentally came home early and just walks in asking why Jacob's just sitting in the garage in the dark. I told him the whole story and how I wanted him to just go away, and my dad says he'll take care of it. My dad invites Jacob inside and tells him, okay, we need to talk, let's hash this out right now. My dad is actually a really nice and chill guy, but he can seem intimidating if you don't know him. So Jacob must have gotten freaked out, so he hopped on his bike and rode away. Never saw him again. My parents and I agreed that I never need to go out in the streets looking for friends again. And that is the story of my 12-year-old stalker. Fuck Yu-Gi-Oh!
If you guys have ever thought about joining Planet Dolan, if you have a 5 to 10 minute story time of your own, submit a script and voice recording to story@planetdolan.com. Check the description box below for further details. That's it for this video. Have a good one!